Welcome to our summer intensive class, CALM 324. My name is Sarah. I'm the instructor, and I'm making our first welcome video. Happy Monday morning. I definitely need my coffee today. Let's get going. We have a lot that we need to get working on right away with week one. And this video in particular, let's call it the silly video. And this is where I am trying to show you the path of this class and what you can expect in the next 4 weeks. There's quite a few things to go over, and so we'll just get started. I've printed out the syllabus, so I am looking at that, but I also have my uh, Canvas page open, so we might jump right into sharing the modules and the Canvas so you can kind of navigate that. This is CALM 324. Its official title is Business and Professional Communication. And we are going to hit the ground right away, week one, and really look at defining what is business communication, what is professional communication, look at some of the problematic elements of business that become some of the friction that we have when we're trying to navigate the business world or the working world for all us working people, and seeing how communication can be a tool. So we really want to think about in this class, I'm at the course description and our learning outcomes, our course goals, is how we are using our communication to be effective and appropriate. Often we hear being effective is the most important thing, but in the field of communication, we always add an ethical element to any task when communicating. So when we say effective, that's moving towards its purpose. Appropriate is understanding audience and adapting to the listener. So there's a transactional action to it. So that means we are going to look at communication and all different kinds of things, from how do you show up in teams, groups, how do we deal with power and hierarchies or different intercultural communication. We're also kind of look at current issues like the hybrid remote work, some of that's been going on, and also how technology is impacting the workplace, which it always is. Technology is always impacting the workplace, but we have these new kind of software, computer algorithms and programs that are really creating a rapid change in the way work happens in that kind of business world piece. We're going to look at different communication theories, and I'm going to try and move you from things you probably have already experienced, things you already have some knowledge about, but we're going to attach your experience and your knowledge to the theories and get you into the vocabulary of the class. So I will be asking for you to be using vocabulary throughout the term so that we can replace kind of our, regular kind of ways that we talk about things to a more theoretical academic vocabulary base of talking about things. We're also going to look at communication and its practicality. How do we show up as listeners? How do we convey our message in brevity and directness and clarity, which I am working on with this video right now. Let's just get to those main points. And not try and embed the points deep into it. Business communication in particular really demands that the topic be the first sentence, and then you move into the evidence and the reasons why after. But you really need to come out strong. That's sometimes difficult for us based on our families we grew up in, our cultural experiences, and learning how to adapt your style to the business world. The first page of the syllabus has the accessibility statement with all the contact for ODS and different groups on campus to help. And then I have my own personal accessibility statement at the end of my syllabus. And that's really just there because not everyone fits all the programs that campus offers. So if there's something that I can help with or that you need from me, to reach out to me to see if I can adapt any program or get on a Zoom call with you or meet. I'm around so I can meet in person as well, that we can adapt any information to help you get through the class. We're going to be moving relatively fast. The statement is for a 10-week class. So I really need to know, like within the next few days, if there's something that you feel like you're running into as an obstacle. My door is always open, but let's get right out of the gate, start going through the Canvas module, and let's find out if there's something that you need help with right away. All right. I work 10 to 5 all weekdays, so I am available. If you want to jump on a Zoom or a phone call, or if you want to do other types of ways of communicating, there's lots of different ways to choose from. Because we're in a business communication class, I'm going to be really looking at any emails you send me to be in the structure of the class. I consider any communication you do with me in a communication class as reasons to talk about how to communicate. And especially in my business class, emails should be clear what class you're in the subject line. I should not be trying to figure out which class you're in. So we want that COM 324 and the topic and the subject, immediate attention grabber. And then because email is a lot more formal of a communication, you really want to have that addressing me right at the beginning, and then the first sentence of your email should basically be exactly what the email is about, right? You can do a little intro like, I hope you're doing well, or I hope this email finds you well today. I don't know, some people like to put a little just tag at the beginning, and then that next sentence is immediately I have a question about, right? Like, I really want that action statement and it to have a dense, direct pointing to what you're emailing about. I shouldn't have to be reading to the very end to find out what your question is. My question is about the first assignment due on Friday. Then go into embed the reasons for the email or any other types of information in the bottoms of it. So we want to really think about that. And that is good practices or best practices for business communication and emails. However, if you send me a Canvas inbox, I consider that a step down in casual, like emails really formal, then Canvas inbox. You don't have to be as Canvas will tell me what class you're in. You can I still want that first sentence to be pretty strong about what the email is about, with a really strong question or statement right at the beginning. But it can also have a lot more briefness to it. It doesn't have to have as much information. Like, hello, Sarah. I hope you're having a good summer. I am sending this message to see if you have any availability today to meet on Zoom to talk about the assignment that is due on Friday, or whatever it is. Like, and then that's it. And then down from that, I have my text message. You can text message me if you'd like to. If you're text messaging me, keep it really brief. Always put, not always, but the first couple of text messages because you're not in my phone, put your name and your class number, COM 324, and then we can move into a more casual back and forth. And that's usually like if you see a mistake. I make mistakes. Yes, I do. Not perfect here, not trying to be. So if you see something that you feel like is wrong, or maybe you have a question about, or maybe something didn't open up, go ahead and send me a message and I can either quickly reply or quickly run in and fix it. Okay. All right. So all that information is here for your how you can contact me, and we are off. This is a 4-week class. That's a little, we still have 4 credits. That's not 1 credit a week, right? That's like 1 credit a week. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. And this first week, I have included 2 weeks of information in 1 week to try and get us through that first part of the class. After that, the information is kind of spaced out week 2, week 3, week 4, but you should really think about week 1 here. Let's get going with the class. I have a couple of other videos that I made, so you can look at those for the first little bit of lectures. And just a tip, I have a memo, I call it the week 1 memo due. And we have several memos. I think every week you have a memo due, and I lay out the assignment in the form of a memo. And then I have a Word doc that you could download as a template. So because when you reply back to my memo with your memo assignment, I want it to be in the same format. So I created a template, and if you like Google Docs, you can upload that right into Google Docs and start filling it in. And then what I would do if you do something like whatever you're using, whether you're using Word or a Google Doc, really try, you might actually set all week 1, 2, 3, and 4, since there's 4 memos you have to write this term. You could set them all up. They'll all be in the, well, week 4 will be a little bit different, but so maybe just the first 3. Now that I'm remembering, week 4 has a little bit different format, and there'll be a new template for that one. But when the first 3 memos are all exactly the same. So once you download that, you could set up all 3, and then just so this is the tip, as you're going through the module, have your memo already open and ready to type in. So you don't have to you don't have to go through the module, then go to the memo and go, oh, this is about the module. All right. So then you feel like you have to go through it again. I want you to be as efficient as possible with your time, especially in an intensive course. And I want to decrease your frustration and stress. So memo first, then go through the module, and you'll see how it all connects. Okay. That's what I have about that. So there's 3 memos. The 4th memo is like a final memo, which is a little bit more comprehensive, which is why there'll be a little bit more in that last memo when it shows up. But if you've been really systematic with your other 3 memos, you're really just pulling from what you have already really highlighted and then putting it all together as one report. The other part of this class is you have 3 team meetings. Yay, here we go, team meetings. Team meetings are, I will assign you to teams of 3 people, probably about 3 people, maybe 4. We'll see how it shakes out at the end. Someone in your team needs to get out right at the gate as soon as you see your team assignment and get that email chain or that chat chain or that inbox chain messaging going, and figure out when you can meet to record your meeting. I expect it to be in gallery mode. Each team meeting has a list of about 8 to 10 questions your team will have to go around and answer. There's another video for how to conduct team meetings and how I'm grading them, but because this is a communication class, I will expect you to be communicating. So the memos and the team meetings make up the bulk of this class. If you are really staying embedded into the class for this 4 weeks, you're really going back and forth between deliverables of memos and team meetings. Boy, doesn't that sound like a job? Well, we're learning business communications, so here we go. Because the team meeting and we're trying to learn how to communicate, I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on my extroverts or to not be over talkers and to learn how to roll back into listening skills and demonstrate listening skills. That's really difficult to do for my extroverts. It will be a little bit of a challenge. My introverts, they are going to also be challenged because they have to show up and add their voice into the team meeting. So because of the challenges that you will be experiencing as you become kind of meta aware of conduct and norms, I have quite a few conducts and norms listed here. And think about how you're coming into your meeting prepared. Make sure you listen to the video just on team meetings because I'll have some tips and tactics if you're an extrovert, if you lean more introverted, so that you can navigate that social space of a team meeting. All right, next thing I want to talk about is grading. Here we go, grading, and then we'll go over assignments and content for the class. The grading assessments for this class, all assignments are 10 points. They're just weighted differently. So if you go into, oh, here's where I'm going to share your screen. Share your screen. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. So I'm in our Com 324 class for the summer intensive. And when I'm in student view, it shows you all the assignments for the term here. Some of them will be locked up till they open up. For example, you have a welcome here, a welcome discussion board. Actually, the date on that, I'm seeing I'm going to have to move that to the 25th. I don't think it's supposed to be the 26th. Oh yeah, that's right. The memo is the one that is a little off, so that might change from this video. See, I told you. 100% transparency. Hashtag not perfect, imperfect. I encourage you to click onto show by type at least once through the term. If you like it all kind of in that show by date so you can see what's coming next. But show by type shows you the design of the class. It shows you the weight of the assignment groups, and that will influence your grades when you're looking through it. So this week 1 welcome, that is your introduction to discussion board where everyone's going to post their discussion of introduction, and I like it in the same format. And as far as a photo comes, sometimes they load really huge. And if that happens, grab the corner and drag it down, or grab the corner and drag it up. And I don't need it too tiny. I'd like to be able to see it without zooming in, but it shouldn't take up so much of the space. So think about how you're being appropriate with your picture, and that information is up in here in the upload a snapshot of your beloved pet of you with a beloved pet family member or from a memorable trip. And I have both, except not my dog, but I have my daughter and me on a trip that we took last year. Okay, let's see. I'm going to stop sharing. Well, actually, I went over the assignments, so we feel pretty good about that. Oh, let's just go into modules. So I'm in the desktop. This looks differently if you are on an app. Like if you have an iPad or you're trying to access the Canvas page on a phone, it's going to look really different. And you're not going to have full access to everything that you do when you're on the internet. So please be aware that that can limit your access to the class if you're just using the Canvas app. and find ways to get to an actual computer if it's possible. And another reason to talk to me if you're just using the app so that we can make sure you're navigating the class correct in a way that can lead to your success in the class. The start here, there's some information about virtual team meetings, and you do need a camera, things like that. We'll talk about that more as we go. There's some information here and my contact information, not just in the syllabus, but it has its own page as well. So we're going to go right into the week 1A module. When you're looking at it, this is one thing when you open up the app. Maybe I should open up the app right now. See, Canvas app. Even for me, I'm in the teacher one and I can't do as much. So once you click into the class, I don't know if you can see me up in the corner, but it really comes up as a menu, and you have to go into modules. But then with modules, the start here overview or week 1A overview, that's going to give you kind of this feeling of what are we covering in week 1. And I have learning outcomes, I have the required materials, some links in it, and I'll add in the deliverables, the assignments. So that can be a way to navigate it. This is the only one where there's 2 readings, 2 video pages, 2 different lectures, and then our welcome assignment in our first memo. And you can see the memo is the very last thing in the module, but you actually would probably want to get that open right away and set up, as I said before. So that is because with a 4-week class, let me stop sharing. That is because with a 4-week class, I took my 10-week business class and had to jam it into 4 weeks. And week 1, I put really 2 weeks in one. Once we get to the other 3, I've adapted them. It's more like a 1.5. It's still a lot of information. I mean, an intensive class is just that. We are going to fly through the material, but it does kind of open up a little. So, and a lot of that is because in this class, we have a lot of majors that are not communication majors, and we have a lot of communication majors. So I really feel like I have to cover what is communication and business communication and the word professional communication and how it's become a gateway word to sometimes marginalize or limit access for some groups of people in the field of business. So we're going to really address some of those issues this term. And then we're going to get right into teams and group projects, because that's a lot of what business is. Business is, how do you create your social network? What is your social capital, the word social capital, and how do you create value in your relationships as a way to navigate towards your own success and the success of the team, the group, the organization, or the business that you're involved with. So that's why week 1 is got a lot more denseness to it. But when we move into week 2, that's called listening, and that's going to cover nonverbals and identity and things like that. Introvert, extrovert, communication, some cultural aspects of communication, like high context, low context. Pretty sure that's week 2. Oh gosh, maybe even I'm getting a little mixed up. And then week 3, we're going to look at power. And we have the job interview, but we want to look at how communication happens in top-down, dynamics of power, whether you're trying to get a job or you're the one who's offering a job. How do you navigate different people's impressions of power and how to understand that better? We're going to look at a little bit of conflict in week 3 and feedback. So feedback in the workplace, how do we, whether you're receiving it or if you're having to give feedback. How do we do that in a way that builds trust? In the full 10-week class, we go into a lot more depth than we can in this one, but we will have that in our week 3 module. Week 4 is the last module, and it is still a lot more content to cover, but this is basically where we're going to get that rhetoric. Rhetoric meaning, how do we persuade people? How do we motivate people? What is the ethical way to, instead of using more manipulative or understanding the difference between persuading that's motivating or persuading that is manipulative in order to serve others and not yourself or not your team. So we're going to kind of address that in the last week. Whoa, that's a lot. I'm already feeling it. Are you feeling it? I'm already feeling it, but we're going to do it. We can do it. Don't blink, right? This is going to go by super fast. That's why I have that quote from Maverick Top Gun. I feel the need for speed. And I'm drinking my coffee. All right. So almost all the assignments in this class are about 10 points. One thing you should really notice is I don't give out zeros for missing work. You'll get a 4 instead of a 0. And that's just what I do to try and manage the fact that not everyone is, you might be, well, let's see. It's to provide more balance in the final grade that's more demonstrative, more representative of the work that you did. So for example, if you get a 10 on one assignment and you don't turn in one and I gave you a 0, your final grade would be a 5, which is an F in the class. And that if I put a 4, all of a sudden your grade moves up to a C, 4 instead of 0. So if you got a 10, you missed assignment and I put in a 4, all of a sudden you're getting a C, which is passing, and it seems much more reasonable. So you can still fail my class, but it's really hard to do. And if you do feel like you're struggling a bit with how I'm grading, let's jump on a call. Let's go over something you submitted, because we're moving so quickly. I really would like to make sure you have the tools to just slide through the classes effortless as possible, depending on your goals. I do accept late work, but in this class, it's a little bit different. If I see some familiar faces. Hello, people who've been in my class before. You have like a 24-hour window to turn in something late and not get any point penalty. But after 24 hours, I take 10%, which is 1 point, because all assignments are 10 points. So you lose 1 point on that assignment. And then if you did everything perfectly in the assignment, instead of a 10, you would get a 9. And that's just really to provide some grace for people who are navigating a lot of different things. And summer is no different than any other time of the year. So you have a little bit, you have like a natural extension to every assignment. It's also just in case, like, maybe you're not feeling well and you'd rather go to sleep. Maybe you would, maybe you have a technical issue that showed up and then you can't get it in at that exact time. You don't have to worry so much about getting walloped right at the beginning. I wouldn't push the deadlines too much because I will take off that 1 point after the 24 hours. And then you get another bubble for late work, which is 3 days. 3 days is when you lose 2 points or 20% off of your assignment. And that is like a 72-hour window. This does not really apply to the last assignment of the class. The last assignment of the class, you're only going to really get that 24-hour block, and then the class is going to stop. So I only extend the 3-day minus 2 points for week 1 through week 3. Week 4, we got to wrap it up, and I have final grades due. So that's just really to help the whole process of an intensive class. Another note about work and when you're submitting it, it is due at 8:59 p.m. The default for Canvas is 11:59 p.m., but I've changed that default in my class to basically 9 p.m. But you have that 24 hours. So if you're a midnight oil worker, you could still turn it in at midnight and not lose a single point if that's your preferred time. But 9 p.m. is the time stamp for submission for this class. All right. I think that is everything. I'm sure I forgot something, but maybe we'll cover it in the next video. Have a great summer, and I look forward to meeting all of you and listening to your meetings, and we'll get through it. Talk to you soon. Bye.